Hello and welcome to Decoding Attachment Style. It is a Monday morning and the topic today is what is your ex thinking when you text them and why they may or may not respond. Now I mentioned it's a Monday morning. Usually I love Mondays, but today, man, I can do it an extra Sunday. How about you guys? Let me know in the comment section. Always feel free to send me your messages and your questions. And I'll answer them as quickly as I can get through them. If you haven't done it as yet, please hit the subscribe button so that you know when a new episode is going to be out. Now, before I get to what is your ex thinking about when you text them and why they sometimes respond, sometimes they don't, I want to address two things. One of it is a comment I saw on Instagram where the person says, I hope that anxious attached people are not following this account because the avoidant attached use avoidance as an excuse, and they take their anxious attached partner for granted. Just as the anxious attached person wishes that their need for validation or their need for closeness from their avoidant was an excuse, I'm sure we wish it. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I've had an anxious attachment style. That's what I spent decades going through. The hurt, the fear of abandonment, wanting validation, wanting affection, needing closeness. It was overwhelming as an anxious attached style person. And in order to be in a healthy relationship with my fearful avoidant attached partner right now, I had to heal to become more securely attached. It is not comfortable being anxiously attached. It is not comfortable being in your home and you just want to enjoy the quiet, but your mind goes off to your partner wondering what they're doing if they don't text you or call you or text you in time or call you when they say they're going to. Your mind goes off to dark, scary places. You start to worry that they're no longer interested in you. You start to worry that they might have found somebody else. They're moving on. They want to find an excuse to leave you. Those are the fears an anxious attached person lives with. It is not an excuse for them to want to see their partner more. It is a fear that they live with. So the anxious attachment styles, the tendencies, the behaviors, the patterns, they're not excuses that people are using to manipulate another person. The avoidant attached person needs space to self-regulate. They need space to self-soothe. They need space to feel like an individual, to be able to show up in other areas of their lives. Their entire life is not about just being in a relationship. They need space to transition from being with you into the mindset of that they need to go to work, the mindset that they need to be with their kids, the mindset where they want to be with their friends. And when they're doing those things, and you would notice this, when your avoidant attached partner is with you, they're not connecting with other friends unless it's like an absolutely necessary text, but they're not constantly texting other people, constantly having conversations with other people. That isn't to say that they're not scrolling social media. It's very different, right? They could be with you. The reason that they're on social media or they're comfortable scrolling through reels or whatever they're doing on social media while they're with you is because they feel comfortable and safe. But they're not going to spend a long period of time talking to their friends or family members when you're right there. You have their attention. They're with you. Whatever you guys are doing together, they're with you. Now, when they're going off to work or they're going off to their friends, they're also very present with those people. And yes, they may scroll social media. Again, it's a passive act. Scrolling on social media, playing a video game, these are all passive actions. Being with someone, it's active. It's to be present with them. And so I'm saying that avoidant attached persons, they need space. It is not an excuse. Just as the anxious attached person needs to feel that close connection by texting often or being on the phone having conversations often or talking about the relationship often. It is what these attachment styles believe they need. It is not an excuse. Trust me, with the work that I've been doing with anxious attached and avoidant attached, we wish it was an excuse, because with an excuse, we could find something else to do. This is something that needs attention, and it needs a lot of healing. The second thing that I want to get to before we answer this question of what is your ex thinking when you text them and why they may or may not respond is this: how to get over someone. We know that blocking, stop following them on social media, these are first steps, like obvious steps that you need to take. What I find that you really, really want to do is you want to be able to change the routines, and it means changing the places. And it depends on where you are. I am in the US, and we have different seasons. And with different seasons comes different scents. So, for example, we smell pumpkin spice during the fall. We smell pine trees during the winter, because, the holidays are coming in. We also have different sounds associated with the different seasons. So, and colors, right? So, for example, fall, we're going to have a lot of changing of the color of the leaves. During the winter, we have Christmas carols playing, and, there are other holidays being celebrated at those times. Now, if you've been with someone for a period of about a year, or whenever you've been with them, there are going to be certain things associated with the memories of that person. If it was summer, you might have gone to parks together. You might have done hiking together. Now, in order to help you to transition out of that relationship into this new life that you have, you must be able to change routines, not just on a physical level, but on an emotional and psychological level. So if you used to have coffee with this person during the fall while you guys talked about the colors, the changing of the leaves, and you have to make an association with where you're at. If you're in a South American country, you're also going to have scents associated with your memories. During May, June area, it's a time, May, June time. It's a time of, it's a rainy season. So you're going to have the scent of the rain hitting the hot roads and the grass. And that can trigger your emotions. It can trigger your feelings. It can trigger your memories. So what you want to do is replace those routines, those times. So let's say, for example, you and your partner used to go for coffee every morning during the fall. More than likely, you're smelling pumpkin spice, or you might have bought pumpkin spice latte. Change that up. Instead of doing coffee now that you're no longer together, or your latte that you're no longer together, choose to go for a walk, go for a run, or go out with another friend to a different cafe in another area, another neighborhood. And you do that for the period of time you've been together, or about a year. 6 months to a year. Change your routine so that your brain now starts to associate with something different, a different memory. It's not going to replace the person, but it's going to be less triggering. So the healing process, it takes a long period of time if you want to get through it. If you want to get through a breakup and get on the other side where you could make healthier choices in relationships moving forward, you want to take the time to process what has happened and allow your mind to get used to a new normal. Let me know in the comment section if this has helped you. Feel free to reach out to me at annalisabahadur@gmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe. Now we are going to get into the meat of today's podcast. Again, the question that we are addressing is, what is your ex thinking when you text them, and why they may or they may not respond? It is usually very triggering when an ex's name would pop up on your phone. You see that notification and you have memories, you've got emotions running, you've got old patterns. And sometimes you hope that this message means that they're still interested, that they want to get back together. Now, what you do next, how you respond, and how you react is going to tell your attachment style, but it also tells them what you're thinking. It shows them how you're feeling and thinking about them. Your need to react or not react is not random. That's what I'm saying. It is a direct line to your attachment style, and it shows exactly what you're afraid of or how badly you want that connection. So if you're avoidant attached, you're going to behave a particular way. If you're anxious attached, you're going to behave a different way when that ex's number pops up on your phone. Okay. If you know how you respond and you react, you can start to control your responses and your reactions. And that's what's important. It's about bringing about the awareness. And when you are aware of your actions, only then can you choose how you're going to act and react in the following days or months or years or in the future. So let's talk a little bit about the anxious preoccupied attachment style. For an anxious attached person, when an ex reaches out, this is sort of like a validation. It's a chance for them to regain that lost connection. And this is because the anxious attached, well, their main fear is that this chance to reconnect will slip away from them. So what they believe that they must do is respond right away. So it's, this comes back from this, oh boy, I'm telling you, it is a Monday, but I so need a Sunday. I'm just going to take a sip of my coffee before I continue this. All righty. As I was saying, with the anxious attached, when the ex reaches out, they feel as though they've got a latch on. This comes from their childhood, right? So let's say they had a parent or a caregiver who would leave for long periods of times. This isn't to make a parent feel bad about yourself. We're all getting through life. We're all figuring things out. This is really what I'm about to say here is just to show how the anxious attached style person comes about. A parent, as a parent myself, one of the things I've had to accept over the years is there isn't a manual on being a parent. We're all, for the most part, out here trying to be the best parents we can be. So I'm going to ask you not to feel any guilt about what I'm about to say. Now, I'll use me as an example here. Let's say I was working when my son was born. And if I was working and I'd go out for 6 hours a day, when I come home, he might just have this fear that mommy's going to leave. So I'm going to hold on to her and I'm going to cling to her. I'm going to drag along the apartment while I'm holding on to her legs because I don't know when she's going to leave and when she's going to come back. And perhaps the reason for that is when I leave, he doesn't know when I'm going to come back. And how is he going to be taken care of? Remember, as human beings, as little teeny tiny human beings, our concern is about our survival. We're not processing anything at the age of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or anything before 25 when our frontal cortex is completely developed for us to be able to process information and make decisions. So when it's a child, they grew up in a home where the parent or caregiver leaves for lengthy periods of time, that child can learn how to grab on and cling on with the hope that they can keep their caregiver or parent there for longer periods of time. Now you grow into an anxious attached style person who now latches on to their partner. And this reaction comes about. It's clearer when the ex reaches out. It's like that caregiver coming back and you grab on and you're holding on for dear life. And how does that show up as for us as adults? When that ex reaches out, we grab on and we're feeling so comforted. And as the conversation or the text, it's back and forth, we start to relax, we start to feel better. It's like, okay, this person's here. But we ask more questions and we talk more because we want to keep holding on to them. We want to keep the conversation going because we want them in that space. We may even be on the phone with them and they're quiet and we're not saying anything, but they're not saying anything. But it keeps them there. This just triggered a memory for me. When my partner and we were going through a breakup, and it was so difficult. And in that, I was still in that anxious attached state. And it was just so difficult for me that he stayed on the phone with me at nights. We'd just have our phones on and speaker. Wouldn't say anything to each other, but he would stay on the phone with me and we'd go to sleep. And just him being there was just so comforting. Knowing that he was on the other side of the line was just so comforting to get through that period. It's also a story I shared when my mom passed away. I was 13 years old, almost 14. And in Guyana, where I'm from, we would keep the body in an ice box in a room of the home. And as it got closer to the day when they were going to bury her, I started to get so anxious. I was so scared. I just did not want that day to come. Now, at 13 years old, I'm not processing anything. All I had was the memory of being so scared. And I questioned it as I aged. About 3 years ago, it hits me. I think what was going on was that it was better to have her body there. I felt more comfort knowing that her body was around, even though she couldn't be my mother. And that's what happens with an anxious attached style person. They just want to know that the other person is there. So when the ex reaches out, you latch on just like you would have done as a child, just like you do in every situation. It's your way of feeling safe. You're not going to be abandoned. So you're tempted to react because there's this panic that, oh my gosh, I've got this person. And then there's the hope. So your nervous system is now on very high alert. And now you're tempted to respond. You respond instantly and you share everything because you've learned that by sharing things and talking and being vulnerable, that's how you build a connection. In a healthy relationship with someone who's got a securely attached style, you can do that because that person knows how to communicate their needs. If a secure attached person reaches out to you and you start offloading too much, a secure attached person can easily say, hey, let's slow down. Slow down a little bit. I'm not going anywhere. You don't need to spill this much. Hang on. This is a little too much for me. I had a really rough day. Let's just keep it light. The trouble is when the avoidant attached reaches out and you latch on and you're going on a back and forth, and they get overwhelmed, they just drop off. And you're left wondering what just happened. We were having this really great back and forth. What happened with the avoidant attached is that they got overwhelmed, but they don't know how to communicate. And it's not that they can't say the words, they can say the words, but they get into their heads and they think, oh, if I tell this person that it's too much, that, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with this much of a talk and conversation, all of these words, then they're going to get angry with me. They're going to think I'm a bad, mean person. And because of that, they just shut up and they just drop off. And you're left wondering, what happened? This person come in all hot and heavy, and now they just disappeared. So what the anxious attached wants to do in a situation like this is remember that it's your ex. Remember that you don't owe them anything. Remember that you don't need to be seeking their validation. You don't have to rush and share information with an ex when they're not a part of your life. You don't owe them a conversation. You don't have to update them on anything that's going on in your life. Allow them the opportunity to show some interest. If you're going to spill everything to them, then they don't need to ask you, hey, what have you been up to? And if they ask you what have you been up to, there's no need for you to give them all the information. Oh, I did this and I did that and I did the other. Then what else is there for them to ask? There's nothing else. What you can do is say, oh, I just decided to take up bowling, and then shut up. Because when we're quiet, it allows them to ask a follow-up question. What got you interested? When do you go? Who do you go with? But if I spill everything, oh, I decided to take up bowling. I go out with my friend Lena and we have fun and we go on a Tuesday night. We are always there at about 7:00. Remember that you might be giving them this information hoping that they're going to surprise you. But you're also giving them so much information that now they have nothing to ask you. So where does the conversation go? So you want to be able to pull back a little bit. And you can do that by reminding yourself that this is an ex. And if they want to show interest, then sure, step up. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of information. You now have to ask. When you do that with a fearful avoidant or a dismissive avoidant, if the dismissive avoidant ever reaches out, because they don't usually do, if you're going to allow the fearful avoidant to ask these questions, you're indirectly helping them with their healing, because what your inaction is doing is forcing them to face their fears and ask you the questions, which is something they're not comfortable doing. And when they start to ask you the questions and you're responding in a way that makes them feel safe, you're not criticizing or judging them, they're learning that, you know what, I can ask questions and this is okay. I'm not getting in trouble for asking questions. Okay, so indirectly, you're helping them to heal because they now have to push through their fears and ask you questions. Now, let's talk a little bit about the dismissive avoidant. Now, I just said that they don't generally reach out. For them, if an ex reaches out, it is seen as an intrusion. It's a threat to their peace and their independence since they have broken up. Now, the reason for this is there's a difference between dismissive and fearful avoidant. I get so many messages and consultations with people who come in and they say, my dismissive avoidant ex. And when you get to the bottom of it, their partner talks, their ex talked about how they felt and what they were struggling with. That's not a dismissive avoidant. And I believe that we're getting confused because we think that because the person doesn't want to talk about the relationship, they're dismissive. No, they're fearful avoidant if they could talk about their feelings, but they don't want to talk about everything. They shut down at certain times. A dismissive avoidant will not share their feelings with you. They're not going to talk about their overwhelm. They're not going to talk about feeling suffocated. They're not going to talk about their fears, about how they're going to commit or how much they're going to lose, or they don't talk about their feelings. A dismissive avoidant is very comfortable being alone. They might want a relationship. They may fear dying alone or spending the rest of their lives alone, but they don't need a relationship. They love going home and being by themselves and eating what's in the fridge and watching TV and just doing their thing. They like their space. So if you're an ex and you reach out to them, it's more of what is this person doing? Why are they reaching out to me? I'm just fine alone. Like, just let me be. They may be tempted to respond, but it's going to be with annoyance and skepticism, wondering like, what do they want from me now? It's sort of like, I'm just really fed up. Like, just like it ended. Just leave me alone now. Let me just get about my life. Like, why are you reaching out? And so they have this strong desire to just shut down. They don't want to deal with it. They may ignore it completely, or they're going to send a very cold, brief, close-ended reply. It's going to be something like, hey, yeah, I'm good, right? And thanks. Thanks means no need to check in again. Don't respond. If there isn't a question, don't respond to their message. If anybody doesn't ask a question, it means they're not interested. So unless you get a, hey, yeah, I'm good, thanks, how have you been? It means the person doesn't want to communicate. And I know that's painful. I get it. But it is a great way of you knowing where you stand with this person and moving on. So what they're doing is, hey, yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's a polite signal that they're really not interested, right? It's being polite, but they're also telling you they're not interested. What they're hoping for is that their ex is going to go away and respect their boundary of silence. Now, when a person's quiet, it's also them saying, I don't want to, or I don't have the courage to reach out as yet. And what you want, instead of you hearing me say, oh, they don't have the courage, so maybe I should reach out. Maybe they want to, but I should reach out. What you want to do is know that you need a person who is courageous in your life. You need someone who is able to push through their fears to be in your life. And this is not just for a partner. It's for your friends, your family, people that you want to be supportive in your life. They must have the courage to push through their fears. So you wait it out, not to help them along. Think of it this way. If you have a child and the child's going to swimming classes, and every time they jump into the water, you've got your hand right under them, holding them up, they're never going to learn to swim. And also, if every time they just jump in and they try to swim, you're just hovering there just in case, and you just grab them up every time you think there is danger, then they learn to rely on you and they never learn how to swim on their own. So when it comes to building a relationship with an anxious or avoidant attached person, you have to allow them to push through their fears. These relationships, they can work, but they call for a lot of patience. And if you want a long, healthy relationship, then you're going to need patience even with a secure attached person if you're anxiously attached or avoidantly attached. A lot of times people say, oh, but I met this person and it's so boring. Well, that's a secure attached person they're talking about generally, right? It's not that they're boring. It's just that you're not getting the excitement and the chase. And this isn't in every case. Secure attached people are not boring. They just know what they want. They're not chasing anything. They're not grabbing for attention. And you're going to have to be patient with yourself in adjusting to being in a healthy relationship. So every relationship is going to call for patience. If you want a relationship where, it's funny, I was looking at this Amanda Knox documentary recently, and she'd met this guy. I'm not going to share too much. Don't worry, it's not a spoiler. They had known each other for 5 days. 5 days, and they're hot and heavy and boyfriend and girlfriend. And studying what I do and doing what I do, I'm thinking 5 days hot and heavy, you don't know each other. So if you're looking for a relationship where 3 months in, you're planning to move in together, I'm not saying that your relationship's not going to last. Some relationships last for a very long time after meeting for just a short period of time. But statistically, it's not in the high numbers. You want to take your time and get to know someone. So patience is incredibly important. Patience with your own healing, if you're anxious attached or avoidant attached, and patience with your partner. Okay, so hope that helps. Now for the fearful avoidant. For a fearful avoidant, when their ex reaches out, it is triggering for a number of reasons. They remember the good times, but they also remember the pain of the relationship and after. Their big fear is on missing out. So if they've had a great relationship with you, they may wonder, like, did I give up on something that could have been good for me? However, if that person betrayed them, if that person left them, if that person made them feel like it would be difficult to trust them, while they may still have feelings for that person, now they're caught with, how can I trust that person again? Yes, it's nice. I'm getting the validation. They've reached out to me after they left me. So nice ego boost for me here. And while I might miss them and it would be nice to see them, might be nice to, I don't know, try again. How do I trust this person again? So they're caught. They're caught with that. So they're generally tempted to react, but they have overwhelming, conflicting emotions. There's hope, fear, longing, anger. Everything's happening at the same time, and it's paralyzing, which may be one of the reasons that you might have a delayed response from a fearful avoidant. A dismissive avoidant may respond a little quicker out of annoyance, and then you have that shut down text like, yeah, thanks, good, all good, thank you, out, right? Fearful avoidant may take a longer time to respond. And again, this isn't in every case. While the attachment styles are consistent, the cases are different. So let's use two test cases for fearful avoidant. A fearful avoidant who goes through a breakup with someone that they've had a great relationship with, they feel safe with that person, and for whatever reason, they ended the relationship. For whatever reason, they ended that relationship. After leaving the relationship, if their ex reaches out, the person that they felt safe with, there is going to be a longing. They are going to respond a lot quicker because they want that connection. They're going to miss that person. If it's someone who betrayed them, someone who walked out on them, they may have a quick, if the ex reaches out, the ex may get a quick response depending on how long the breakup's been. So if the breakup happened, let's say you break up with the person. All right, I'm going to use, I like to use real life situations. It helps our brain to grasp it easier. So let's say I break up with my partner who's fearful avoidant. He feels betrayed. Things are going great. We're planning a future together. For whatever reason, I get all antsy about something and I break up with him. If I reach out to him in a month, he might take a longer time to respond to me. Because while he would miss me, I've betrayed him and he's still angry and he's still processing all of this. And he still remembers the good times. If I reach out to him 6 months to a year from now, he will respond quicker because now he's feeling safer. Yes, he might still miss me, but he's feeling more grounded. Like, he's good. He's probably even in another relationship. So he's feeling like, okay, I could handle an ex. And then he feels that, nice ego boost that I dumped him, but now I'm reaching out again. But would he get back into a relationship with me? Not necessarily so, because he's going to constantly remember that I betrayed him. Now, if we've had a great relationship, things were good, he felt safe, for whatever reasons the relationship ended, chances are we can get back together because he's had enough time to process what happened and, make adjustments. But both persons would need to change in a situation like that, because if I'm anxious attached and I get back into that relationship and I start behaving the same way, and it's funny because this was a conversation my partner and I had when we went through a breakup. He said, if we're meant to be together, we will. And we knew that. And I remember saying, not if we're the same people. Because I knew then that if we continued being the same people, we would be heading down the same road and we would end up at the same results. So in order for our relationship to be where it is, We had to stop being the people we were when we first met. And we are not the same people today as who we were 4 years ago when we met, 4.5 years ago. So it is important that when you go through a breakup, you change some of these behaviors. And one of the things that you want to do, as I'm pointing out in this podcast, is curtail the way you respond and you react when you hear from that ex. And know how to respond and react when you get that message. Okay? It's not just about you, the person who's sending the message. It's also about the one who's receiving the message. How do you respond and how do you react? Now, for a secure attached person, which is what you want to start to mirror, it's kind of like an acting school. There are many actors who would get into character long before they start filming. And they want, and they stay in character. So they become the person that they're portraying. If you're not yet securely attached, learn everything that you can about becoming securely attached. What does a secure attached person look like? How do they behave? And start to mirror it until you become it. It will start to feel natural after a period of time. For a secure attached person, an ex's text is nothing but a text. It's like having a text from an old friend or a colleague. It doesn't trigger them into responding quickly. They're going to respond when they have the time. They're not afraid that if I don't reach out right now, then they're not going to like me or they're going to think I'm not interested. And there is no fear of, oh, if I take a long time, they're going to think that, I don't know, I'm ignoring them. A secure attached person is going to let you deal with your feelings on your own. They're going to let you deal with whatever feelings you have, and they're going to keep doing what they're doing. Now, they're not playing games. I've said this before, as an anxious attached, if my partner reached out now, I would have responded. I would have left the podcast. I would have left everything, my work, put it on hold and respond. Now I know that we're talking about an adult here. And why would he call me? If it's a massive emergency, that it's a health-related issue, I'm not the person he's going to call or should be calling. You should be calling 911. I'll hear about it later and I'll show up. There's nothing I could do. You call me when you're going through a health emergency. Then the only thing I can do is call the ambulance for you. But if you're calling me, it means you should have been calling the ambulance, right? So I now know, as a secure attached person, that if someone is calling me, even if it's my partner, and I am busy doing something that is important as well, then I can return their call afterwards. It's not to say that they're not important. It's that we have to be able to have our priorities right. If it's my children, that's a different story because they're still very young. They're still very dependent on certain things from mom. So having our priorities right, that is something a secure attached person will do. And they trust that grown-ups will act as grown-ups. We will give them that respect to take care of themselves, theirselves. They may be tempted to react with curiosity, but it's also with calm. They feel their feelings, but they're not ruled by them. They feel feelings, but they're not triggered into action by those feelings. So an ex reaches out, I look at it, okay, ex reached out, I'll respond to this when I have some time. It's not a need to. I'm not afraid of if they think I'm ignoring them or they're upset that I'm not reaching out in their time. They are going to respond in a polite manner with clear boundaries. They might respond kindly, but neutrally, or not at all, depending on the context and their own closure. Let's say an ex reaches out to ask, hey, how are things going? I might respond with, all is good. I hope all is well with you too. It's telling you that there's a boundary. And I don't want to engage because I'm in a relationship. Now, if an ex reaches out and says, hey, I'd really like your help with this situation. Is there anyone that you could direct me towards? I give them that information and carry on. Okay, so it's polite, but it also is setting a boundary. Their response is going to come from a place where the secure attached person knows this works for me. This is healthy for me. It's healthy for me and it's healthy for my relationships. So they're thinking about themselves, but they can also respond with care and from a polite space. Their goal is to be in alignment with their well-being and their life goals. So again, I'm in a relationship. I can interact with an ex, but I'm not going to get cozy and mushy. I know there's a boundary, and I will not allow an ex to get into or through the boundaries of my relationship. You can still be polite, civil with an ex, but a secure attached person knows where the boundaries are. The text that your ex sends you will create a jolt if you're anxious or you're an avoidant attached person. And the healthiest response, regardless of your attachment style, is to pause, to recognize that this is an old pattern that is being triggered. You get to choose what is the response that you're going to give. How are you going to react? And this must be in alignment with who you want to be now. You have to remember that your relationship is not with them anymore. Your new relationship is with you. You're building you. You're moving towards becoming more securely attached. And in order to be securely attached, you have to prioritize what you want to feel. Not I want this person back. What do I want to feel? I want to feel happy in a safe and secure relationship. Keep remembering you're not in a relationship with this person. This is a time to choose you. This is Decoding Attachment Style. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm your host, Annalisa Bahadur, and until next time.